Whoever's in the Zoom chat, if you can drop a quick message in the chat just to make sure we can see everyone.
Yeah.
Zoom chat. That would be very, very cool.
What do I have to do?
No, for the people who joined us.
I see.
Wonderful. Okay, we are streaming live. I am out.
Yes. Absolutely. Hello, hello, everyone. Hope you're doing all well. Let us know how your day has been, how the trades have played out. We're just waiting 1, 2, 3 seconds, and then we will start with our special guest today. Ernst, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, in the
nice to see
headquarters
you.
of Amsterdam. Yeah, nice to see you. It's been a while. I think last time we saw each other was December last year, no?
True. Yeah, also in Amsterdam.
Lots has happened in the meantime.
Yes.
Right? Medical doctor.
Medical doctor now. Yes.
Yeah. Congrats on that step.
Thank you.
So let me just check with YouTube quickly. So guys, how are you doing? How is everything on your side? Nice that you find the time today to join us. It's a bit of a different story today. Usually, we talk to traders and coaches. I mean, Ernst is a trader as well, but to our coaches of the community, explaining more about the markets. Today, we want to cover something special, something we think is very important as a part of trading. I mean, we all know it. We are, especially at the beginning, a lot in front of the charts. We're trying to understand the market. We trading, we maybe over trading, and we forget about routines that we have. And I think these routines, and I think you agree, Ernst, are very important. Also, when it comes to your health, to the discipline outside and offside the charts. So this is what we want to deliver to you in a 3-part webinar series here, where we look into nutrition, into supplements, into meditation, basically everything around trading that gives you the edge when you sit in front of the charts, so that you can feel concentrated, that you have a clear mind, and then you can execute the trades in in a good way. So again, it's very nice that you find the time to help our community level up on this aspect of trading and also the life. I mean, feeling good is very important. So yeah, welcome, and thanks for joining today.
Thank you. Shall I share my PowerPoint?
Absolutely. We can get started right away. I hope you all had beautiful trades today. So you can switch off from the charts now and get some good stuff that Ernst is going to provide you. So
okay, can everybody see my screen, my PowerPoint? Yes? Okay, great. Yes, hello traders and welcome. Thank you for your introduction, Jan. Today, I need to go to the... Excuse me, but it doesn't let me go to the next slide.
With the right arrow? Does it work like that?
Yeah, okay, great.
There we go. Who are you, Ernst? Tell us more.
Yeah, first a little bit about myself. My name is Ernst, indeed. I'm a medical doctor now. And I'm also a fitness expert with over 11 years of experience in the field of fitness and health, where I've always tried to find the similarities between my medical studies and my medical knowledge and the field of fitness and performance medicine and well-being. I also have a bachelor in medical philosophy, which has taught me how to think in broader terms and like fundamental concepts. And since last year, I'm also a trader myself. I'm not yet funded, but I've been trading consistently, so I know the ins and outs well enough to apply my medical knowledge and know what a trader needs in order to perform at its best. So the course indeed is 3 parts. So today we go into some general health concepts that can aid you in making better life choices from more of a philosophical point of view, just fundamentally. We also look at nutrition, supplements, and exercises that are like tailored down for what a trader needs. Next week, like Jan said, we go into the part of mindset and psychology where we investigate certain psychological traps and also find tools for a better mindset and focus. And in the last part, we will cover sleep, which is also very crucial in optimal performance and health. And we'll also check some other recovery strategies like sauna and cold exposure. So today, like I said, these are the topics of today. And first, a little bit about performance medicine. So what it actually is it is a field of the medical science where you apply concepts that are used for treating sick patients, and you use them on healthy people to make them perform better than they normally would. And there is, so this is used by professional athletes, for example. And there's a bit two sides on this, like you have trying to make sure that someone's health is optimal. And you also have like the realm of doping, which is not something that I condone, so I'm not going to talk about that today. But making sure that somebody is as healthy as possible so he can perform, or he or she can perform at their best, is what it is all about. And I'd first like to give you a few ideas about my view on health that are really important to understand in order to make better life choices. And the first thing that I want to get across is that you have to realize that our society and also the medical science in the West, it is driven by disease and not by health. And this is something, how you have to understand this is that people go to the doctor when they're sick, and doctors treat patients when they get a disease, instead of people trying not to get sick and doctors trying to make sure people preserve their health. So it is kind of a standard of fixing what is broken instead of preserving what is healthy. And you have to understand that this is just the state of mind of people in the West. And this is the underlying cause of the fact that we have so many diseased people, like cancer rates are skyrocketing. People, like in the entire world, there's around 800 million people with diabetes type 2, which is insane because it's like actually pretty gnarly disease. People are overweight, etc., etc. And one of the underlying causes about this, like under this, is the fact that we only start caring about things too late. And then, of course, there's multiple reasons why we have this concept in our mind. Like there's people who are telling that certain companies, for example, profit on people, on like making people sick. And maybe there is something to say for that, but I don't want to go into that territory too much. What I personally think is very important is that people simply don't know how to take proper care of themselves, and also maybe are a bit scared to take proper care of themselves, because when you take care of your health, you have to acknowledge that something can go wrong with it, but it's a fear that you have to overcome. And the main concept that I want to give to you regarding health is the concept of balance. This is something that is found in all tradition about medicine, and even you can actually view it in the sense that our entire body is constantly trying to create a balance in all organ systems, like hormonal systems. It's always trying to sustain a certain balance. So if you, by your actions, try like have a very unbalanced life, then your body has to do more work to keep it balanced, and this will eventually be a root cause of disease. So balance is the main thing I want you to remember to think about your health. And then, of course, there is a big area between being ill and feeling your best. So, if like these days, a lot of people are walking around with a bit of aches, like a bit of tiredness, a bit of like they're not feeling ill, but also not feeling at their best. Many people, like colleagues, for example, they have the flu a lot of the time, etc., etc. And this is something, it's like many people are walking around not feeling their best. So what does a trader need for optimal performance? That would be a clear mind, sustained focus, and stable energy. And like I said, minimum discomforts during sessions. So if you, for example, suffer from back pains or like stomach aches, for example, in a regular fashion, then this will eventually impact your trading. So like I said, balance is important. So you have to balance vices and virtues. I like to call them consciously. So you can, of course, party a bit. You can, of course, do some unhealthy stuff as long as there is a very good the foundation of healthy habits. And also, like personally, I try to live 90% healthy and 10%, I sometimes have vices, like parties. But you just have to make sure that you find a way of doing that that you can live with, but is also conducive to your health. And then the last thing I want to give as an idea to you is that some people don't take proper care of their health because they feel that they have been dealt a bad card, like a bad hand of cards regarding their health. And every family has their strengths and weaknesses regarding health. Like my family, for example, we don't really have any cancers in the family, luckily, but my family struggles with sleep disorders. So that is our bad hand, let's say. But even though you have a genetic predisposition, your actions that you can take by living a healthy lifestyle can make sure that you might not outlive the actual genetic makeup that you have. So to give an example, if there is a lot of cardiovascular disease in your family, you can prevent yourself from getting a cardiovascular disease by just living very consciously and healthily. So I just want to give that to you as an idea of empowering, like empowerment. So you want to take better care of yourself. Okay, so now we dive into what a trader needs. So the trader, for a trader, your brain is your tool, of course. And for a good brain function, you need several things. You need a healthy body. So the actual structure of your brain physically needs to be good. So I like to call that the hardware as a metaphor. And you need proper software. So your psyche also needs to be on point. And if there is problems going on, then you can notice that you might have brain fog or lack of focus, anxiety, stress, tiredness, so like the opposite of what you want. And so for today, we target the hardware part. So we make sure that your brain neurologically is doing, like, gets everything that it needs. And the first thing that we need for this is, of course, nutrition. So today, nutrition is a minefield, of course. So there's a lot of different things going on there. And I just try to make it into a few basic concepts that can hopefully help you make better decisions regarding food or let you think in a different way about your nutrition. I will also talk a little bit about fasting and the gut-brain axis, because I think those are important, can be important tools for you as a trader. So the first question that you have to ask yourself regarding nutrition is the question, what to eat? And it is quite funny question, actually, that we as humans have to ask ourselves, because most animals, they simply eat what they have, what they're like naturally meant to eat, like a lion eats meat, etc. But humans have always found all different kind of theories about what a human diet should consist of. So you have even some almost religious like diets, like the carnivore diet or the vegan diet, which both have their perks and both have their negative sides, but I'll come to that later. But the fact is that in general, humans are considered omnivores by nature. So there is many reasons why this is the case, like why there's telltales in our anatomy that you can that can kind of tell us what our diet should be. But humans can eat both animal and plant foods. And like I said, the carnivore diet or the vegan diet both have their perks, and it is especially important what your own personal experience with food is. But in general, as a doctor, I kind of want to advise you against too much extremism in your diet, unless, of course, you have tried it out or you have certain issues that you think a carnivore diet or a vegan diet might alleviate. Then you can try it out. But in general, for most people, it is important to eat a wide variety of foods. So this is also my first principle that I want to teach. Eat a wide variety of foods. This is a very common topic, but the reason why is because if you eat only several, like a very monotone diet, then there will be certain foods that have a certain nutrient plentiful, but also you will be lacking certain nutrients. And then if you only eat this diet, then over the course of some time, you will start getting nutrient deficiencies. And this gets me to the second one is you have to get in your essential nutrients. And there is several ways to do that. You can check beforehand, like write down which foods you eat and check the nutritional value and then make sure that you have a plan. What you can also do is you can also take a blood test, of course, but this is a bit more invasive. But you can take vitamin tests and nutrient tests. But what you can also do is just eat the pattern that you're eating right now, but write it down. And then input the foods that you've eaten in a week or 2 weeks into, for example, ChatGPT, and ask it to make a map of the nutrients that you're getting. So for me, for example, I noticed that when I did this, I got a little bit too little iodine. So then I started adding some more seaweed to my diet. But this can be a healthy, like a low threshold tool to get your nutrients in. Then there is, of course, the part of avoiding ultra-processed foods. In the media, there's more attention to this now because of the obesity epidemic, because ultra-processed foods tend to be very highly caloric and low satiating, so you tend to overeat them. And also the product, like the actual ingredients themselves can be in other ways damaging to your body. Which gets me to the next one is to not overeat. You really want to make sure that, like, for example, if you're bulking for fitness, then there is a good reason that you're overeating. I mean, then you want to gain more muscle. But overeating in general is considered to be a stress on the body and will lead also to several problems. It also makes you feel sluggish, so you're not as sharp. And the last thing, which is also very important, is that you are like relaxed about nutrition. So you don't go into something too intense. And that you also don't punish yourself too much, that you just try to do your best, try to consciously think about your nutrition, but don't get too anxious about it. That's what I want to say. And of course, be honest to yourself. So like I said, write down what you're eating and then just look at it and think like, is this actually a healthy diet or am I cheating myself? Now, regarding nutrition for focus and decision-making, the most important part for focus and decision-making is that you prevent big changes in blood sugar. So if you, for example, have a trading session in the morning and you eat a high sugar breakfast, so called a spike, and the spike in glucose will cause you to feel a bit euphoric, and maybe you might take a trade that in hindsight wasn't actually that good. But what can also happen is after you get the rush, then you get the crash, and the crash might also cloud your judgment. So for this, I think it's important to either eat complex carbs in the morning, if you like carbs. So just no sugary cereals, but something like oatmeal. Or skip carbs in the morning if your trading sessions are in the morning, that you simply don't eat carbs until the afternoon, for example. Depends, you can try this out, but you will notice that if you prevent these spikes, that you will have better judgment. And also regarding neurological health, so the actual, the physical part of your brain, it's very important to get essential fats, because some people might already know, but your brain is basically just a fatty organ with a lot of water. So it is literally made up of fat. And so you want to make sure that all the essential fats that your brain is made of are also in your diet. And you want to limit trans fats, because trans fats tend to mess up the function of the cells all over your body, but also in your brain. And trans fats are, for example, in ultra-processed foods. So you want to make sure you don't get too many of those. Next to the question of what to eat is an important question of when to eat. And then we get to the topic of fasting. I want to briefly go over this. Fasting is something that's been known for thousands of years for its psychological properties, like people like the Buddha, for example, who is fasting for 40 days, I think, and then he gets enlightened. And this is because of several psychological mechanisms that fasting can introduce. So the main reason to go fasting can be for weight management, because it can just simply help you to not overindulge in calories. So that can be a very powerful tool, especially like intermittent fasting regimes. And the second reason that you can do it is that some people notice increased focus. Yeah, so this works in several ways. I pointed out some out here. So you have orexin release. This is a hormone. This is also called hypocretin. It's the same chemical. This is released when you're fasting for some time, and it is a natural wakefulness hormone. So it kind of wakes your body up, so it increases your alertness. Also, if you're fasting for longer or doing a ketogenic diet, then you will have ketones in your bloodstream, and ketones are the most efficient way for your brain to get its energy. So that's like, it kind of works as a very good fuel for your brain. So you might also notice increased focus from that. But then again, a ketogenic diet is for some people also too extreme. So you have to really like experiment with that yourself. And then there is also a health benefit that goes with fasting, which is called autophagia. It's a bit disputed, but there's also some evidence that it actually works. And autophagia is that when you are in a caloric deficit or when you are fasting, that this fasting triggers your body to start killing off the cells that are not functioning well. So you kind of like keep your tissues in a good state. And then one side note I want to make is that fasting naturally increases cortisol and adrenaline. That simply is how it works. Like when you fast, these hormones go up to start breaking down your body's tissues for energy. That's completely normal. And you need to break down your fat tissue and your muscle tissue a bit to start producing energy. But these hormones can have a different effect on everybody. So maybe if you are already a bit anxious and you start fasting and you want to do a trading session, then these cortisol and adrenaline release can cause a bit, more anxiety or jitteriness. So you have to also try out how you actually experience this yourselves. But it is worth experimenting with if you are interested in this.
Ernst, let me kick in here because
Yes.
it's a very interesting topic, and you've just mentioned two different scenarios. So you said the one thing is, a breakfast with like an oatmeal, maybe some blueberries, these
Yes,
kind
yes.
of light breakfasts. And then there is like this intermittent fasting where you say, okay, I'm starting to eat at 12 o'clock, and I have the whole morning of not eating and fasting. What would you prefer in this specific case? Would you go for the breakfast, or would you say, hey, the best thing is really to let your body work with the rest of your food from yesterday and you start at 12?
Yeah, so this is personal for everybody. What I tend to do is I kind of switch between intermittent fasting regimes in summer and winter. And right now, I indeed skip my breakfast. So I take some coffee in the morning and then I eat at 12 indeed. But I've also noticed like some people just simply don't like to not eat in the morning. They feel a bit sick or they start feeling a bit weak. And then, of course, if you want to trade, then if you're not feeling well, then this can negatively impact you. So this is personal. I personally think that there is also a bit of a switch. So if you've never fasted in the morning, then you have a few days where you need to adjust. Your body just needs to adjust to it. But if you keep feeling bad, then you should just simply eat in the morning. And on the whole topic of fasting, like the most ideal way of fasting would be that you eat in the morning, like a lot in the morning, a little bit in the afternoon, and little to no in the evening, so that you actually start fasting earlier in the day. But yeah, so that would be the most ideal. But personally, because of my training and working in the hospital, it's never been possible for me to do it that way. And I also noticed that when I didn't eat in the evening, that I don't sleep as well. So I try to like do the best that's possible. So it's always finding out what is you have like the ideal scenario, and then you have what is possible. So it is different for everybody, I think.
Okay, so very individual, and it's the
Yeah.
best to really write your feeling down and like experiment with it, right?
Yes.
Try the different. Yes. Okay. Interesting.
Thank you. Yeah, so then the gut-brain axis. I don't know if anybody of you knows this, but in recent years, there's been more and more research about this because we start to more and more realize that the gut flora and also flora like the bacteria and other, also on our skin, etc., but especially in the gut, is very important for our health. And the main idea that I want to get across to you is that there are more cells of microbes in your body than there are your own human cells. So you have about 30 trillion human cells in your entire body, around that. And there's about 39 trillion microbes. So this is, if you think about it, you're not just human, you're like a superorganism composed of human cells and microbes. And these microbes are essential for your health. So you really have to think about it in that way. And how this interaction works is that these microbes produce vitamins, but also neurotransmitters. They regulate your immune system, etc. And they also produce like the neurotransmitters, and they directly influence something called the enteric nervous system. So in your gut, there is also a lot of neurons, so brain cells, like neurons, basically. And there's there's a few 100 million cells there that are intricately linked with your brain. And so what's happening in your gut can interact with your emotional, and how you're feeling emotionally, your energy and your focus. And there's even more evidence, for example, that autism disorders are very much linked to dysbiosis, so bad microbe balance in your gut, and that even some people who have, there's even a correlation between how bad the gut situation is with how bad the autism situation is. So this is very interesting correlation. And the sad issue is that in the West, people are lacking good balanced flora. So flora means the complete makeup of your gut bacteria. And there's many reasons for this, like processed foods that don't actually feed the bacteria, antibiotics use, pesticides, etc., etc. And they've found out that people who live in hunter-gatherer tribes in, for example, Tanzania and or the Amazon have way more balanced and also way more diverse flora. And so dysbiosis, I already mentioned it, is a word for bad balance in the gut. So too much bacteria that are causing problems and not enough bacteria that are healthy for you. And it can be the underlying cause for many, many different symptoms like low energy, also feeling like upset, like not like a upset stomach, basically, or emotional issues, depression, very, very long list. So when you have like trouble focusing, or you're very tired, or you have brain fog, then this might really be something to start looking into. And then the keys to optimal gut flora, I have like, there's many things that you can do, of course, but I try to give a few tools. The main thing that you want for gut health is biodiversity. So you want to have many different species of microbes. And one thing that you can try to focus on in your diet to accomplish this is the rule of thumb of 30 different species of plants per week. So by doing that, you kind of eat all kinds of different fibers, and each bacteria feeds on a different fiber. And by that, by doing this, you get more different bacteria growing. So if you, for example, eat only 3 plants, then only the bacteria that grow on those plants will get their meals, basically. Get your daily fiber intake is also very important, and almost nobody in the West gets their daily fiber intake. Like it's very low, actually, in most people. You want to also eat fermented foods, which help you in 3 ways. Like they introduce the live bacteria that you want in your gut, so the actual microbes themselves. They introduce food for the bacteria in your gut, and they also provide you with the end products of the bacteria that produce it in the food. So there's already some vitamin formation, for example. And then also one thing is fasting can also help you with getting your gut health in check, because when you start fasting, after around 8, depends on the person, but after around 8 to 10 hours, you get different contractions in your gut. That only happens if there is no food inside your digestive tract, which help to clean your digestive tract. So this doesn't happen if you have always something going on. You have to sometimes make sure there is nothing inside your digestive tract for it to properly function. So then when you expect issues here, like the ones mentioned above, you could go to your doctor for a gut flora test or GI map, so you can kind of know if there is a bad situation regarding your biodiversity in your gut. So any questions about this?
I think a personal one. And I think maybe for many out there, when you speak about the plans, can you give us some examples of what you think? Because you name like you need to take 30 plans. What would you take?
Oh, yeah. Well, it doesn't really have to be any specific plans. I would go for, like, it really depends just on that you don't eat, for example, just 5 plants, You just want to make sure that you don't eat only one fruit and one grain. You want to make sure that you eat several grains, several fruits, several vegetables. And then especially you want to focus on whole grains, some foods with fermentable fibers, like beets or sweet potato, like things like that. You want to eat some quinoa and other high fiber grains. And then the most important part is that many people only get their food from a few sources, They only eat chicken with rice, or they eat only like burgers made from wheat, or like many people eat a very limited diet. And when you only eat a few different plants per week, then you are simply starving some of the gut bacteria. So it doesn't really matter. Like you should just eat the plants that you like, as long as you keep a variety.
Okay, makes sense. All right.
Then we go into the part of supplements. So what you want again as a trader is these things. You want energy, focus, and emotional stability as well. And then some general concepts about supplementation that I've formed over the years is that, of course, there's no way to outsmart a bad foundation. So you cannot outsmart bad sleep or bad diet. I mean, if you don't sleep properly and just try to caffeinate yourself out of it, it can work for some time, but eventually it's going to catch up with you. Another important thing is that I advise you in most cases to build up gradually your supplement regime. So for example, if you found out that you want to do something about your testosterone levels and you want to experiment with certain supplements for that, then you should not take 5 supplements at the same time. You should try to really start with one and then see if you get any effects from this, and then start with the second one, see if it helps you even more. And in this way, you know exactly which supplement is doing what for you, and you don't take anything unnecessarily. So for example, if you start with 5, then maybe 3 of those are not doing anything for you, and you're just taking anything that's not necessary. And some supplements also come with downsides. So especially then you don't want to take anything that's not helping you. Keep it simple is also important, like get the most from a few. Like some people are overwhelmed by supplementation and then they end up taking nothing. If you want to keep it simple, just take creatine and just take the most important things, and just try to find out if you have any issues yourself that you want to get fixed, then you can look into which supplements you could take for that.
Okay, we got a question here. Sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah,
Ernst.
no.
Got a question here from Valentin here, who asked like any examples of supplements that could be helpful to focus or for his focus.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I will in the next one, I will like the next 2 slides, I will dive into that. Yeah,
Awesome.
like a few basic ones, yes.
Mhm.
And the last point is that you don't need to make it expensive. Like there's many brands, like the supplement world is a very rotten business actually. There's so many brands selling you very expensive jars of just a pure product, which you could also buy in an unbranded fashion and then save like 60%. So you shouldn't fall for all these brands basically trying to sell you the ultimate pure version, while their version is just as pure as if you buy it in an unbranded store. So what can you take for what? I'll go over this quickly a bit because there's a lot to tell about this, but it's just the basics. So for your hormonal health, which this is more focused on guys, by the way, but your hormonal health is it's important as a trader because hormone health means emotional regulation. This is true for both men and women. And as a guy, you want to optimize your stress and your sex hormones. So boron is very nice for increasing your amount of free testosterone and balancing it with estrogen. So you get a more, basically get more free testosterone. Ashwagandha is very popular these days as well. It works in the sense that it kind of blocks certain cortisol receptors. So it kind of balances out the cortisol response. You can try it out if you have the issue that you feel anxious a lot or that you have bad sleep, then you can take it in the evening. But you should know that ashwagandha also has some downsides, and there's some research going on whether it's safe for the liver, but then again, it's been used for thousands of years. So this is just something that I like to put there as a side note, that there is some risk associated. So you have to make up your mind about it yourself, of course. It's a very small risk, by the way. Then vitamin D, which is also crucial for your hormone health and also your immune system. And then pine pollen, which has also been used for thousands of years. How they work is they have certain plant compounds that mimic testosterone a bit. Like there's many different androgenic hormones, of course, but it can help you with your testosterone metabolism. Then for your liver is very healthy for your energy and your overall well-being, of course. So if your liver is not functioning well, you feel very, very awful. And you can kind of give it a little help with N-acetylcysteine, which is abbreviated here with NAC. N-acetylcysteine is also used, for example, in hospitals when people have a severe paracetamol intoxication, where paracetamol is very damaging to liver cells. So you can literally kill your liver with it and then die. And in hospitals, they give the people NAC in order to protect the liver cells against poison. So it is very nice to help the liver with its detoxification properties. And regarding the rest of your metabolism, what can be a very potent product is apple cider vinegar, because it stabilizes your blood sugar. So if you take it before every meal, then you will get less spikes in your blood glucose. So it also helps with weight management in that way. For strength, you just want to take creatine. Like almost everybody should take creatine, honestly, because it has many good properties and pretty much no downsides, and it's very well researched. And for neurological health, which is important as a trader, you want to take omega-3s, like your essential fats. You want to take alpha lipoic acid, which is an antioxidant in your brain. Also, creatine has some neurological properties, and lion's mane. Lion's mane is being researched more and more now, and there are some studies indicating that it helps with neuroplasticity, which means the ability of your neurons to form new connections. So it helps with learning. And also with neuroregeneration. So when a nerve cell is damaged, that it gets repaired quicker. So this is something that you can take for longer term to get maybe notice some effects on your cognitive performance. So these are basically for focus, I would say, because you want to really make sure that your brain is optimally constituted, like it has all the nutrients that it needs. And then for focus, actually the real almost a little bit PED-like, a little bit performance-enhancing drug-like, are nootropics. So these are supplements that help you very clearly with your cognitive capabilities. And these are the the ones that I think are worth trying. So caffeine, of course, many people already use it, and it's been proven in so many studies that it helps you, it like actually makes you a bit smarter, like it helps you with cognitive tasks, as long as you notice like that it is a drug and that you should use it accordingly, because there is some downsides when you take too much of it. You should not take, you should really try to limit your intake to as little as possible. That already gives you the results. You should not take it after, for most people, after 2 p.m., but for my personal experience, I don't take it after 12 p.m. And just simply don't use too much of it. If you really like coffee, because coffee is very, is also a ritual, you know, you also just like the taste of it, then I can advise to take some coffee with caffeine and some decaf. And if there's also some people that don't really like the energy that you get from caffeine, because caffeine can feel a bit, can also introduce some anxious feelings and also just get your body into a state of unrest with a rising heart rate, and like you can get a bit jittery, like feel a bit tense. Then you can try L-theanine, which is in green tea, which from studies appears to have a more sustained, balanced energy. Or what you can also do is combine the caffeine with taurine. And taurine is, for example, also in Red Bull. Taurine is an amino acid that kind of has a like a softening effect on the alertness of the caffeine. So it works on your neurons, and it kind of causes the energy of the caffeine to be more sustained and balanced. So it doesn't give you this unrest, basically. However, some people notice that it can give an upset stomach, which is also the reason that I personally don't take it anymore. And then the last one is a bit controversial. Nicotine, because nicotine is, of course, associated with a host of different health problems, especially because of its presence in tobacco. But what I want to make clear here is that nicotine is not the same as tobacco. So tobacco is very, very harmful because there is thousands of cancer-causing chemicals in it, and it's very, very bad, actually, especially in high, like over prolonged use, you know. But nicotine itself is a very potent neurotoxin, so it is a strong poison. However, in the amounts that we usually take it, it's relatively harmless, so it doesn't really cause the cancer that is being caused by tobacco. So nicotine itself is only very, very mildly carcinogenic. So in that way, it's less of a health risk, let's say. However, it is very addictive. So you should really use it wisely. And how would you get it? Like if you don't want to get it from tobacco, well, you don't want to start vaping. That is also not very healthy. But you can, for example, experiment with nicotine gum, like very low dose, or nicotine spray. And you will notice that it actually, it is a true nootropic. So it really makes your mind sharper. That's been proven actually in studies. So you can experiment with it if you want to try it out. Then a lot of people like modafinil and Adderall are very popular also in the current, like you read about it in the media a lot, that people are using stimulants like this. I also have some experience with this myself, but in the end, there is a high cost to benefit ratio. So you don't really, like the use case for these drugs is very, very narrow. There's only very specific use cases, especially for traders. Like the only use case that I could come up with is if you, for example, are very jet lagged and you have an important session, then you can use this to get like boost your energy a bit. But then again, if you're that jet lagged, you could also ask yourself why you would be trading, because maybe it's better to just take a break. So I'm not that big a fan of Adderall and modafinil, especially for the health consequences. And also, you get more energy, but you also, if you take just a little bit too much, then you also get a little bit high, and it really impairs your judgment. So it's not necessarily advised. Then about vitamins. So I advise you not to take multivitamins without knowing what you're doing, because that's most people's first step is like, oh, I want to take better care of myself, I'm going to take a multivitamin. But the problem with this is that not all the vitamins that are in the pills that you're taking are actually that your body is actually able to use them. A very big example of this is vitamin B12. Most multivitamins have a substance called cyanocobalamin. You can forget it, but it's just the chemical inside, or hydroxycobalamin. And the issue is that this substance your body might not be able to use, because there are some people that cannot properly take this from this substance into the substance that you actually need. Another example is vitamin C. Vitamin C is ascorbic acid. If you take it separately as a chemical preparate, it doesn't have the same, like normally when you get it from plants, you get it with other chemicals that kind of aid your body in using it. So if you just take it chemically, it's not entirely the same for your body to use. So this is something that you should just note. Like it's the best really to take all the vitamins from natural sources like liver and plants. And then for traders, especially a lack of B vitamins can cause issues with brain fog and impaired focus. So you can do several things. You can try a methylated B complex. So then you have to make sure that it is a little bit more expensive, but here it's like worth the money, that you get B vitamins that are already in their bioavailable, so they're usable state. Or you get a genetic MTHFR test, then you know if you have this gene that makes you less able to turn these vitamins into the usable variant. So that's up to you. But if you, like suffer from brain fog, then maybe getting check of your vitamins is also an important step. Hydration, I'll go over quickly as well. You need, of course, to optimally hydrate in the morning after you're dehydrated from the sleep. And the best way to do this is with some electrolytes. So you can make your own electrolyte formulation, but you can also buy them. Just be careful with the sodium intake, because it really depends on your lifestyle if you can eat extra sodium or not. So personally, I eat a very clean diet, and in unprocessed foods, there is little to no sodium. So I really have to add it to my diet, because otherwise I would get too little. But if you're not eating, like if you're not eating that clean, and you eat a lot of prepackaged meals or Uber Eats, then you are already getting a lot of sodium. And then this extra sodium might actually be a little more strain on your blood pressure and your kidneys. So that's not something that you want to do blindly. But yeah, like many studies have indicated that mild dehydration decreases cognitive performance. So getting this right in the morning for your sessions is, I think, very important step. And then the last part is exercise for traders, where I'll just go over some basic ideas about what you should focus on as a trader. And the first thing is that you need to understand that the human brain thrives with movement, and that is because it is evolved in a human body that for the last 200,000 years was walking around for 10 to 15 kilometers every day. So it's very recent that we started sitting down all the time, and that we didn't get as much movement. So our brain actually is dependent on this movement in order to function properly. And I have a very notable example is that people who have a very important phone call to make, or people who are thinking about a serious problem, that they tend to walk in circles, they tend to walk around. And this is because your body you kind of instinctively know that then this makes you feel smarter, it makes you think quicker. And there is like a physiological reason for this as well, because this walking around creates more. So first of all, it alerts your central nervous system. The movement of your body alerts your brain. You get more blood flow to your brain, and you also get more, via the more blood flow, you get more oxygen delivery to your brain, which is of course very important for your brain to function. So what you can do is thinking about incorporating cardio into your trading regime by taking just a short walk before going behind the charts, because this way your body is active, your brain is well oxygenated, And it might just make that little difference in your sharpness. And what you should also do is, of course, I personally really like strength training. I also do cardio, but I would advise you to, if you really want to get the most, like if you want to focus on something physically, then you should focus on cardio for training. Like, of course, you should also do the strength training, but the cardio is what's gonna help you the most with clarity and increased cognitive performance, because your brain is it's very dependent on your cardiovascular state and also on your VO2 max, which I will go into in the later slide. But just cardio is gonna help your brain to optimally perform. And it's also gonna do some other things, like it's gonna increase your insulin sensitivity, which is basically how good your body is able to get sugar out of your blood. So also helps you with decreasing the rises in blood sugar. So you get more stable energy. And what also is important is that if you do zone 2 cardio, so I don't know, like if you notice, but you have several zones depending on how much, like how high of a percentage of your maximum heart rate that you go into. And zone 2 is about 60 to 80% of your max heart rate. If you stay within this range, then this has an effect that your body creates less stress hormone, and also that there is less inflammatory compounds going into your bloodstream. So basically it is less of a toll on your body. And also that it causes less spikes in cortisol makes that it causes less stress, psychological stress. So maybe also makes you clearer behind the charts. And then like increasing VO2 max is the most important thing for traders from an exercise point of view. So how much oxygen can your body can your body deliver to your brain, basically, in this sense? So that is also why you want to focus on cardio, so that you increase this to a maximum capability. And then two other things that are just interesting to know is that stretching is important for a trader, because stretching can clear your mind of stress. So you have to think about it in this way. People who are mentally stressed, your body has a reaction to this by tensing up certain muscles. So most people have it that they tense up their trapezius muscles in their back. For me personally, for example, my hamstrings tend to tense up when I'm stressed. And by releasing the muscle stress, you kind of, in a backward fashion, also release some of the psychological stress. And in that way, you are more regulated and also more chill behind the trading charts. And the last thing that I want to just inform you about is that good head and neck posture is important, because we as traders tend to sit behind the screen for some time, like long time of the day. And it's been found in some studies that if you sit with if your neck posture is not optimal, then this can lead to limited venous flow. So this means that the blood flow from your brain back to your heart is limited. And therefore it can cause a little, it causes the brain to be able to be less, function less optimal, let's say. Because this blood flow is, there's also less blood going in that way. So it's not necessarily dangerous, but it's not for an optimal brain function. You want to also have optimal neck position. Okay, so this was my talk. Are there any questions?
Very comprehensive, Ernst. Definitely liking, when everything comes together. I mean, I just saw myself sitting straight here. So Michael was asking an interesting question. He seems to take omega-3 and creatine already, and he was kind of like asking for the bang for the buck. What other 3 supplements would you take that bring the most effect, basically? If you already take omega-3 and creatine, what would you add?
Depends really on why you're taking them, but if you're taking them for overall health, so if you don't have necessarily an issue that you want to resolve, but you just want to cover your overall health, the next to those I would take vitamin D, because that is that just helps you with so many different physical processes. Magnesium would also be beneficial. And I'm thinking, yeah, those two I would definitely take. Yeah, and so for a trader, like maybe it can also be of use to take a methylated B vitamin, but that really depends on if you have any issues with focus. And otherwise, yeah, I think those are the most important, like for your overall health. Yeah.
Okay, when we look at the health, these, and then focus, you've named a couple. Is there anything that you wouldn't mix together, or like what gives you really this focus of like I can sit here and create this tunnel vision with the market, looking at the charts, having my
Yeah.
strategy ready, wanting to execute?
Yeah, what I used also a lot for studying during my medical training was for me fasting in the morning with just a little bit of caffeine, like not too many cups of coffee, but just 1 cup of coffee, which is around, I think, yeah, about 120 milligrams on an empty stomach. And some people don't like this because it can give a bit upset stomach, but personally, I don't have that issue. So then I take that, and then if I really, really need the ultimate focus session, then I take a little bit of nicotine gum. Yeah, but that's again something that you don't want to do every day because it can deliver some dependency. That's
Okay. What do you think about gluten in general? Would you avoid it, or is it something that
yeah,
you're in
yeah.
favor
Honestly,
of?
it really depends on you. Like many people can process them fine and don't really have that much of an issue with it. I mean, in general, the whole idea of gluten is that it is a protective protein of wheat to protect their grains from not being eaten too much by rodents. So it also I agree that the theory of it being a bit designed to cause issues in the gut of mice and other rodents might also translate into causing issues with us. But if you don't have any problems that you can link to gluten, then for most part it should be fine. I mean, also a lot of people are eating seitan, for example. It's like fake meat, like it's a meat. How do you say? It's like soy and tofu, etc. You also have seitan, and seitan is just washed gluten, like washed wheat flour, which is just the glutinous part stays. And so there's people eating pure gluten who don't have issues. So it really depends on your own situation. I mean, if you really have any intolerances against gluten or have celiac disease, then of course you should stay far away from it. But again, this is something that you can find out by writing out your diet and then experimenting with getting it in and out your diet. So if you get it out of your diet and you start feeling certain symptoms clear and you reintroduce it, then you can be quite sure that it might not be the best for you to eat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's not only journaling your traits, but also, journaling your food intake and
Yes.
everything around, right?
Yeah.
So,
I think actually now I think about it, you should not do that for your entire life, but for some period in your life, it's very important that you know that you're very aware of what you're eating. I've also done this like years ago when I was trying to gain muscle, that you really know exactly how much calories are in something, how much protein, etc., etc. And by doing that for some time, you get like a different lens, basically. So you get like a spidey sense for which foods are healthy and which ones not, and which ones will give you a lot of carbs and which ones will give you a lot of protein or fiber. So I kind of know from most foods now that, okay, this is going to give me this and this is going to give me this. And then at the end of the day, I kind of have a feeling of, did I get everything that I need? But first you have to like learn this. You have to get into consciously knowing what you're eating and also registering if there is anything that might cause issues with you. Yeah.
okay, interesting. Something that I've written down for myself during the session as well, is ashwagandha, because we all know like we have a lot of tasks during the day. We are exhausted, but kind of can't fall asleep, and this is definitely something that many people should take out there. Michael was asking, what is the dosage for boron and ashwagandha? How much would you take of it?
For boron, I would personally take 6 milligrams. And there is just supplements that you can buy, which are like one a day, so 6 milligrams. And for ashwagandha, I took, um, I take it. The best way to take ashwagandha is to cycle it. So because it has also some adaptive properties that if you take it for too long, then it starts working less well, and you also like there's not that much research on the long-term use of it, but it can really help you with times when you're very stressed. And then the best way to take it, in my opinion, is take around like the most capsules are 400 milligrams, around 400 milligrams. You can take 2 in the evening, like 800, 900 milligrams. And then when you take it in the evening, then you will notice that it can help you with more getting like less stressed during the night. So you get a more restful sleep. Yeah, that's what I would advise. So 6 milligrams for boron and 900, 800 milligrams for ashwagandha. But you can also try just one tablet and then find out if you want to up the dose. Yeah, and
All
like
right.
there is a few cases, but these cases still need to be studied, where the people who are taking ashwagandha got liver issues. But this is very rare, and it can happen with any medication. So, but just know that the risk is there, that with any herbal medication that you can have this risk. Yeah.
All right. Like the knowledge and transparency here. There is one more question, and I think many traders can relate to this because there comes the time in your journey, especially at the beginning, where you try like a new strategy. You probably go for the first prop firm challenge, and no matter what you do, you have issues. It's not going the way you want to. For like these kind of anxious states or emotional exhaustion states where you just think, no matter what I do, it would not work out. How can supplements support you there? Or what would you say? Like besides the sport, I mean, obviously we said cardio is very, important. What I also like to do is long evening walks, for instance. With the supplementation, how can you get out of this little hole again to kick it off?
Yeah, I think the most important part there, if you really the most important parts will be the foundation, like get proper sleep and stress relief. And then I think that in these issues, like also when I had important exams, for example, or other things that you have a very stressful period, then you can try ashwagandha. And also, if you know that a certain period is coming up, then you can try to take it a week or 2 weeks in advance already. So then it will kind of even everything out. So yeah, that actually helps with cortisol, like your cortisol management, basically.
Okay. Awesome. Ernst, thank you so much for the presentation. Is there
My
anything
pleasure.
else, like a last word that you want to get out there? I see Uma is still typing his question in the chat. Otherwise, we will just postpone it for the next session. But yeah, any last words from your side to the community?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that that like your health is kind of a journey, in the sense that you have to experiment with, like, I just can give you the knowledge, what would be the ideal situation and what has been found in literature, etc. But you always have to make sure that you are honest with yourself when you're trying something out. Maybe it doesn't work, maybe it will work, and that you just really see it as a journey, and that also being healthy will get like living healthy will get easier, like the more and more you develop it. So it's like living healthy is like a skill. That's what I would like to tell you.
Awesome. Being consistent, right, with what you
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
also offsite. Yeah,
Just
again,
experiments. Yeah.
it's a big pleasure to learn from you.
Thank you.
It's incredible what kind of knowledge you've built around this, and I'm super keen for everyone from the community. This is not like the end of it. So we have 2 more sessions. Ernst said what we will be talking about. So make sure next Tuesday, 3 p.m. GMT +2 to tune in. We have a lot of more information and good tips for you. So make sure to stay tuned. And I think from our side, we can just wish everyone a very nice weekend. Relax a bit.
Yes.
Take care of yourself. Go to the nature. Disconnect. And yeah, hope you all had a successful week. And see you on Tuesday. Bye bye.
Bye bye.